Thanks everybody for coming tonight.
Okay, Robert, go ahead.
Thank you. We'll go ahead and get moving here with the Finance Committee meeting tonight. Not a real long agenda, so it shouldn't take a lot of time for everybody tonight, but appreciate you being here. First item up for discussion, take a look at December financials. If you look at the end of December, we're about halfway through the year. We're halfway through the year right now. Our operating fund is right at 53% of expenditures, so we're very close to where we expected to be budget-wise. Our expenditures are up this year from last year. At this point, $10.86 million. Some areas that has really contributing to that. Capital outlay is up $3.21 million this year from last year. That can be attributed mostly to the HVAC projects and to the Hilliard expansion. Salaries and benefits are up $3.1 million. And then purchase services is also up $3.85 million, and that includes several different areas. Some of the areas that are contributing the largest to that would be instructional purchase services, which we've talked about in some other months. Some of the classrooms and things we're having to contract out. And then also transportation is up about $703,000 from this time last year. And then there's some other areas in purchase services. Professional development is up a little bit this year, about $164,000. The safety grant that we got, that has us up about $91,000. And then some maintenance is up $163,000 at this point this year. So those are areas that are adding quite a bit to that increased expenditure. Supplies are up $688,000 this year compared to last year at this point. So that's mostly what's kicking into the expenditures. Revenues, the state revenues are down $409,000 this time. Again, there's a timing thing with some payments that we expect to receive from the state on that. It's contributing to that. And then our tax revenues are up $1.35 million at this point compared to last year. So any questions specifically about where we are with the revenues and expenditures at this point? Okay. I'll talk a little bit about the healthcare trust. The healthcare trust ended the month at $3,324,395, but we also have just about $3 million invested. So $6.324 million is our balance at the end of the month there. At the end of November, we were at $6.3 million, so we're staying pretty consistent there. At the end of December last year, we were at $5.51 million, so we're up about $750,000 from where we were at this point last year. At the end of November, we don't have the end of December information yet on the insurance plan, but we're running at a funding ratio of 90.5% and a surplus of $616,000 this fiscal year. So again, the plan is running very healthily at this point, right where we would like to see it be. So.
Can you repeat what the ratio is?
Yes, 90.5%. And just like every other month, the PPO is costing us, the EPO is running a little bit, and then the HSA part. I'll have those details for you guys Monday board meeting.
Thinking that we would cancel that for next year? Or?
No, we actually had them run that, and actuarially it doesn't make sense to cancel it. I know it's counterintuitive for me, I'll be honest with you, that it's running at a negative loss, but those employees would have to go on some plan.
It would just cost.
And their costs would be more, and so it actually would cost the plan, if I remember right, I think it was about $50,000 a year additional.
Okay.
But it's something we will keep an eye on and continue to have locked and look at those numbers for us. Any questions about the healthcare trust? All right, next item on the agenda, the quarterly investment report. This is actually very good news to report. At the end of the year, and this is a calendar year from December to the end, or excuse me, January to the end of December. Our realized dividend interest and coupon redemptions, we realized a profit of $678,000, $291.47 this year. So instead of just letting our money sit in a savings account that didn't draw any interest, we put that to work for us and made $678,000 this year. Thanks. Right now, our time and dollar weighted average portfolio yield is at 4.682% at the end of the year. That number's probably going to continue to go up slightly as we move a little bit more to some liquid. The liquid fund is paying about 5.2% right now. We're working with MoCat, who we have our investments with, as far as how we're going to invest for this calendar year. So we'll start doing some of that. We're probably actually going to invest slightly more this year than we did last year. I think Katie and Jenny and I all have a little more comfort level with it, and being able to do it and being able to access funds quickly if we need them. And interest rates are just a little bit higher at the start of this year than they were last year too. So, so we've been working on them with the strategy on that at this point. The healthcare trust, we also have some money invested with that. Our total realized gain on that for the year was $29,109. You may think, well, that doesn't sound like we have nearly as much, but we don't have near as much invested in there. And we haven't had the maturities happen within some of those investments. We have a couple that are becoming mature in February and one in March. And then we have a little over $1 million in the liquid series with that right now. So the average time and dollar weighted average portfolio yield there is actually higher at 5.265%. So and that's because a larger percentage of that is in the liquid, right, which right now is paying a high rate. So we anticipate those rates are going to start to come back a little bit. So we're, like I say, we're working on our investment strategy there. Any questions about the quarterly investment report? Okay. The next thing is we'll take a look at the board agenda. Any larger purchase items on that? One of the things there, our E-rate purchases for the year we'll be bringing those to the board for approval. E-rate is basically our federally funded, I'm looking around for Jake, so I can explain this right. Fairly funded projects that we get to do some tech upgrades and everything this year. We're doing, some of that has to do with some internet service, and then the one that's a little bit larger purchase, and this has been an ongoing process for us to upgrade our cabling within our buildings. And so we're going to use E-rate to upgrade the cabling at Pickett, Scaife, Field, and Coleman this next year. And that's going to be $406,000.
Of which we're not responsible for all of it.
Yes.
Right, so
That's not-
that's the project. Our responsibility will end up being about 140.
Who's picking up the rest?
That's what the program is. So the federal government pays 80 to 85%, depending upon what our free and reduced percentage is. So we submit all that every year, and I mean, it can pay less than 80%, but with our percentage, we know it's going to be at least 80. And so we count between 80 to 85% a year is what they pay, and after the project gets approved, then of course we submit it all to them, and they say this is what we'll give you. But so yeah, the project this year, between like our phone wiring, you know, everything's on the network now. The phone wiring is not counted as part of E-rate, but we have them do that while they're rewiring the rest. So that's some ineligible costs that we incur, and then the 20% from the part that they'll pay for. So.
And what's the procurement for that? Like, is it sole source for having everyone else do it, or, I mean, have?
No, we put it out to bid.
We did bid out?
Yeah, we put it out to bid middle of November, and then bids were due January 4th.
Okay.
So,
It's been
yeah,
nice.
we do
I've been in my
that.
house.
We do that every year. It's the
For
same
so
time
long.
frame every year, so.
All right. Any other questions on the E-rate purchases? The next thing, kind of two things, and I'll kind of talk about them together since they're both they're contract renewals and they're with assessment under Dr. Lau. One is iReady, the iReady platform that we have been using. This is a renewal for a 3-year contract with them, and it's $756,000 over the 3 years. That's used K8 to do assessment with them, and then Instructure an extension with that, and then also there's some expansion there, adding it to some other areas. But that's the 912 assessment, and it's $401,000 for a 3-year contract. So those are two things coming through Dr. Lau, some renewals on some assessment software that we use.
You said instructor was 3 years as well?
Yes. Okay, any questions about that? Something that doesn't really hit the $50,000 mark, but I'll go ahead and mention. There's some early childhood ADA classroom furniture that's going to be on from DLO Monday night. It's a $43,000 purchase. Some of this will go to Lake, some Mark Twain, and some we will go ahead and house for a little bit with the hopes of having another or an extension of expansion of our early childhood. And this is some ESSER money that had already been budgeted for this purpose. So this is the last year for us to use that money, so we need to use it this year. So
Where are we at with all the ESSER money? Is that close to being spent out, or?
yeah, we have to spend it out this year. Yeah, we'll have to spend out this year.
What kind of furniture?
It's early childhood, ADA accessible.
Tiny seats, tiny
Yeah,
chairs.
tiny chairs, tiny
tiny
seats,
tables.
yeah.
Pillows, blankets.
Okay, any questions about that? And then the last piece on here, Missouri Western State University, thank you. I've only said that 1,000,000 times in my lifetime. Back in November, the board approved an MOU with Missouri Western to purchase some equipment, and it will be housed at the CTAC. This is part of the expansion of the technical programs in St. Joe. This was some money that was allocated from the governor's office. We had hoped to have everything to you for purchase Monday night. I don't know if we're going to make that deadline because of the weather, and Missouri Western's been out, and so Jenny has been working with people at Missouri Western. So you're either going to have a purchase. I think it's probably going to be an extension of the MOU, because in the original MOU, we'd said we'd have equipment purchased by January 31st. And just because of weather, timing of the holidays and everything like that, I don't think we're going to be able to do the RFP and have it out enough days and things like that. So we're working with them. They're still trying to getting us the equipment list. So we will get that done. So again, this was approved in November, up to $1.77 million of equipment purchase that's being allocated from the governor's office. I think probably what you'll have Monday night, though, is going to be an extension of the MOU, changing that purchase by date so that we can make sure that we have it completed, and we want to make sure we do it right, too. So,
Is there any deadline for having, is there going to be an issue with the?
well, the only reason that we were trying to get it done by the end of January really was there was some concern from Missouri Western that maybe some allocations might be withheld by the governor. So we do want to make sure we get it done before any of that would happen. But so that was why we had that timeline on it.
So is this equipment stuff that's just simply being stored there, or that
No, it's gonna be
going
used.
there?
Yes, it's going there.
That the district owns it, or Missouri Western owns it?
We own it, and our students will have access to it.
The Missouri Western students will also use it?
Yes, and North Central Community College as well.
Okay. So then those colleges are paying the district for use of it, or it's just, hey, they're providing the building so they get to use it?
They're
because-
providing the building
Because they're
and
not
housing,
charging you
yeah.
for the building?
Right, and they'll pay for the insurance and any repairs, anything like that to happen.
What kind of equipment, what kind of program is it?
We're talking heavy, I mean, we're talking manufacturing equipment, things like that. We're
So like
talking-
the machining,
Yes,
okay.
yeah. So again, it kind of goes along hand in hand with our expansion of some of our programs at Hilliard as well.
So like you're gonna move machining out of Hilliard into,
We're not moving anything out of Hilliard. These are going to be additional programs that will be going on at Missouri Western.
new programs?
Yes.
Okay. What
Yeah.
are the new programs?
If you looked out there on Mitchell,
Oh, I know.
yeah,
I
where
know
they're building that
it.
facility, yeah. And I can't tell you all the programs for sure off the top of my head that will be in that, but it's a cooperative agreement though.
Okay.
All right, any other questions about that? And that is the last thing I have on my agenda for tonight. Like I say, it was a pretty short agenda tonight, so. Any questions about anything that was on the agenda tonight? Okay, well, thank you for coming tonight. We're done. Thanks.